The universe was quiet, too quiet. Out here at the farthest frontier of existence, even the stars seemed hesitant to shine. Captain Lyra Kyle stood at the observation deck of the Erebus 9 ascent, staring into the endless black that stretched beyond the last known coordinates of the Milky Verge. Her ship drifted like a grain of dust at the threshold of creation's silence. The crew had long stopped measuring time. Clocks lost meaning when even the background radiation of the universe began to fade. Then it came. At first, it was just a flicker, an anomaly on the deep scan console, a tremor in the static of the long-range comms array. Chief Engineer Wren thought it was interference from the ship's decaying reactor coils. But Lyra heard it again, faint and deliberate, like a pulse struggling through eternity. 3 beats, a pause, 3 more. "Captain," Wren said, voice dry with disbelief. "That pattern, it's human." The bridge fell silent. No human signal had been recorded this far beyond the galactic rim in over 4 centuries. Humanity's last recorded transmission from deep space came from an Erebus 1 ascent, the pioneer vessel that vanished during its attempt to map the gravitational boundary known as the Edge. The scientists back home had called it the event horizon of everything. But home was gone now, Earth, the colonies, the networks, all lost to entropy and time. The Erebus 9 was the last of them, a relic of a forgotten civilization chasing the faint echoes of its past. Lyra leaned closer to the comms panel. The sound came again, faint but steady. It wasn't random noise. It was a pattern, structured, rhythmic, desperate. She amplified the frequency and played it across the bridge. The soft thump reverberated through the deck like a heartbeat from beyond. Navigator Solon swallowed hard. "It's coming from outside mapped space, Captain, past the boundary. There's nothing out there." "Apparently," Lyra said, "something disagrees." No one spoke after that. The vast silence of the cosmos pressed against the ship's hull like the weight of a dying god. For the first time in years, Lyra felt something stirring in her chest. Fear, yes, but also wonder. Beyond the dark horizon, something human was calling from the last edge of the universe. The bridge of the Erebus 9 was cloaked in a dim blue glow as the signal looped again and again, echoing like a heartbeat through the void. Days had passed since its first detection, and the crew had stripped every layer of data they could from the strange transmission. Yet what they found only deepened the mystery. The origin point, according to their last analysis, was nearly impossible. It was coming from a region beyond the graviton abyss, the theoretical limit of the observable universe. No ship had ever crossed it, and no signal should have been able to. Wren's voice broke the silence. "Captain, I've isolated a subharmonic in the pattern. It's an identification code." Lyra turned sharply. "Whose code?" He hesitated, his face pale in the screen's glow. "Erebus 1, the first expedition." The words hit the crew like a shockwave. Erebus 1 had vanished 400 years ago, its disappearance ending the age of deep exploration. To hear its code again was like hearing a ghost whisper your name. Navigator Solon leaned over the console, shaking his head. "That's impossible. The abyss isn't a region, it's a collapse zone. Gravity folds back in on itself. You cross that, you're gone. No signal can escape." "But it is escaping," Wren muttered. "Something is sending it to us." The tension on the bridge grew heavier with each passing minute. The message continued its steady rhythm, pulsing through the air like an invitation or a warning. Lyra stared at the star map where the signal pulsed beyond the boundary of mapped space. The idea of another Erebus, out there, still transmitting after centuries, clawed at her rational mind. "I need options," she said finally. Solon straightened. "We stay Air, record the data, send it back through the relay. If we cross the abyss, there's no coming back." Wren's gaze flickered toward her. "Or we follow the signal and find out what's waiting at the edge. If that's truly Erebus 1, we owe it to them, to history, to see what they found." Lyra looked out through the viewport, where the stars bled into shadow. Somewhere beyond that darkness, something human, or something pretending to be, was calling her name. She closed her eyes, the hum of the engines filling the silence. "Prepare the ship," she whispered. "We're going beyond the horizon." The Erebus 9 trembled as its engines roared to life, pushing the ship toward the uncharted darkness ahead. The graviton abyss loomed before them, a shimmering distortion in space that rippled like the surface of black glass. Beyond it, no signal had ever returned. No ship had ever survived. Yet as the Erebus 9 approached, the pulse of the signal grew stronger, faster, almost as if it were guiding them in. Captain Lyra Kyle stood firm on the bridge, her hand gripping the console. "Initiate the jump sequence," she ordered. Her voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed the flicker of fear that danced just beneath the surface. Wren's fingers hesitated over the controls. "Once we cross, Captain, navigation won't hold. We'll be blind." "Then we go blind," she said. "Execute." The ship lunged forward, tearing through the veil of the abyss. Reality fractured. For a moment the crew felt weightless, not the absence of gravity, but the absence of time itself. The stars outside twisted into spirals, collapsing inward, then expanding again in impossible directions. Space screamed in silence. Every console on the bridge flickered as systems scrambled to interpret the chaos. Then, suddenly, stillness. They had crossed. But what lay beyond was not darkness. It was something else entirely. The void shimmered with colors no human eye had language for. Nebulae pulsed backward. Stars appeared to die before they were born, and the horizon folded in on itself like a mirror caught in motion. Wren stared at his readings, shaking his head. "Captain, the instruments are reading negative time values. The ship's shadow is in front of us." Lyra turned slowly toward the viewport. Her reflection stared back, not the one she expected. The reflection's eyes were older, her face weathered, a scar across her temple she didn't have, and behind that reflection, others began to form, versions of her crew, fractured, twisted, some staring in awe, others in terror. Solon stumbled backward. "Are we seeing ourselves?" Lyra whispered, "No, we're seeing what we could be." A voice, faint and melodic, echoed through the comms, her own voice distorted, overlapping itself. "Welcome home, Captain KL. It said. The reflection smiled as the lights on the bridge dimmed, and the Cerebus 9 drifted deeper into the impossible heart of the universe. The lights of the Cerebus 9 flickered weakly, their glow fading against the impossible brilliance beyond the viewport. The stars no longer looked like stars. They were rivers of liquid light, flowing through a sky that had no horizon. The ship's systems were failing one by one, reality itself bending in pulses that made the metal walls breathe. The crew could barely distinguish between what they saw and what they felt. Everything shimmered between dream and existence. Captain Lyra Kyle floated weightlessly in the central corridor, gripping a handrail to steady herself. Her voice came through the comms, quiet but calm. "Report." Wren's response was static-laced. "Engines are gone. Navigation's looping through phantom coordinates. I don't even know if we're moving anymore." Solon's voice followed, trembling. "Captain, look outside." End time with the signal they had followed, every wave of light beating like a heart. The closer they drifted, the clearer it became. The shape was built of countless fragments of ships, metal, bone, and memory woven together. At its core burned something human, bright and alive. "It's calling us," Wren whispered. "Whatever that is, it wants us to cross." Lyra felt the ship's hum shift into a rhythm that matched her heartbeat. For a brief moment she heard voices, familiar ones, her father, her academy mentor. Crew lost on the journey here. They whispered in unison, "It's not an end." The realization hit her like a wave. The signal wasn't a distress call, it was an invitation. The Erebus one sent hadn't been destroyed, it had transcended. This was the threshold where the universe ended, and something new began. One by one the crew gathered at the airlock, their faces bathed in white gold light. No one spoke, no one needed to. They understood. Lyra lingered behind, her hand brushing the cold metal of the console one last time. "We were never meant to find the edge," she whispered. "We were meant to become it." Then she stepped forward into the radiance. The ship dissolved into light, and the stars reformed, brighter, endless, alive once more. The universe had just begun again,